Hello Sagittarius, my name is Keith Haswell and I'm a professional astrologer with 40 years experience in the business, over 30,000 clients worldwide, and I've got 160 YouTube videos up there on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth. You've probably come to this particular video because you've seen one of my other videos. It's my pleasure to welcome you, Sagittarius, to this particular analysis of your cycles of the planets in their transit through the houses of your horoscope for July and August 2015. Now, you are a very goal-oriented person, Sagittarius. You do need to have a progressive goal to work towards in life. You're a fire sign, so you've got a lot of enthusiasm for your ideas in life. But you're a mutable sign as well, so you're quite adaptable and variable, but you can't allow yourself with that mutability to drift and to just not organise yourself and plan the way that you want to. You have a fair share of difficulties and frustrations with regard to financial matters. You've determined in this life that you're going to handle money wisely, economically, and in accordance with the law of economy. And that's why you've got a lot of frustrations and difficulties to do with finances in your life. Your ideas don't often fit in with the mainstream of thinking. You're very futuristic in your thinking. You drive an unusual vehicle. You could even drive a motorbike or a push bike or something like that. And you have ideas that don't fit in with the mainstream of thinking. You're strongly attracted, Sagittarius, to anything that's out of the ordinary or unusual. You like the idea of your ideas not fitting in with the mainstream of thinking. You regard yourself as a rebel, and you regard yourself as a pioneer. And so you'll always be interested in things like astrology and meditation and reincarnation and New Age philosophy and things like that. You live near the water at some time in life. You'll also live near a hospital, church or a school at some time in your life. Now there's worries about your parents. As you were growing up, one of your parents had problems with alcohol or drugs or something like that. There was something there to do with your parents that was a concern for you as a child. And there's a lot of secret worries about family members too, who perhaps one could be incarcerated at some time or hospitalised for a long period of time. There can be a lot of secret worries about the family and the domestic side of life. And there's drugs around the home, I can assure you of that. And you seem to be a little bit impulsive in love. You can jump into a few hasty relationships, Sagittarius. What I'm going to do for you on this particular video is I'm going to tell you about the movements of the planets by transit. I'll look first of all at Mars and Saturn because they represent the stresses and tensions in your life, and Saturn the hurdles and obstacles that you've set up for yourself to overcome. You might say, well, I don't want to know about the stresses and tensions and the hurdles, but you are the one who set these things up, Sagittarius. You've set these things up because overcoming the stresses and directing those energies that are involved in the stresses and jumping the hurdles and overcoming those obstacles that you've put up in front of yourself, you develop character, principles, values in which you feel that you wanted to develop. And so that's what the idea of the Mars and Saturn transits are. I'll tell you them first, and then I'm going to look at the positive side of life and the happy side of life with the transits of the Sun, Venus and Jupiter. As they go through the houses of your horoscope, they focus your attention upon a particular area for personality growth. They bring love and relationships into your life and affection and happiness and joy socially, and they also expand your understanding about things depending on where Jupiter is. It's the planet of expansion. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the journey here with me. Primarily, Sagittarius, you are a spiritual being. You are not a physical being. You are not a human being in physical incarnation and with a spiritual nature. You are a spiritual being incarnation expressing yourself at this stage in your growth through the human level of consciousness. You've been through the mineral kingdom and the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom to get where you are today. But you are primarily a spiritual being with eternal life. You can never ever die. And all of us have lived dozens and dozens of lifetimes to get where we are today. So you've got some tests set up for yourself in July and August. And what I'm going to do for you, Sagittarius, is put it on a timeline for you. So I'll tell you where these planets are at the 1st of July. And then when they make a change into a different house of your horoscope, I'll tell you when that happens and what events that brings about. And I'll look at the transits of the Sun and Venus and Jupiter as well. So just enjoy the journey here with me. Now on the 1st of July, Sagittarius, you've got Mars in the 8th house of your horoscope. The 8th house is the house of inner transformation and change through introspection and reflection. So you've got a heightened sex drive with Mars in the 8th house of your horoscope. You've got a lot of depth within yourself through introspection and reflection. A lot of stresses and tensions connected with changes that you're trying to bring about within yourself that are not very smooth, okay? And then Mars changes into a different house of your horoscope on the 9th of August. It moves into the 9th house of your horoscope and it remains there for the balance of this period that we're looking at, July and August. Now, with Mars in the 9th house of your horoscope, there's a lot of stresses and tensions there, differences of opinion with people over philosophical matters and religious ideas and philosophies. There can be conflicts and tensions and stresses through in-laws if they play a prominent part in your life, Sagittarius. And there's also a lot of stress and tension there if you travel. So it's not a good time for travel when Mars is in the 9th house of your horoscope. And just be careful not to argue with people about religious differences and so forth. Now I'm going to look at Saturn for you. Now Saturn on the 1st of July is in a retrograde motion. Now that means planets don't actually go backwards, Sagittarius, but they go in an apparent backward motion when the Earth is moving faster than that in accordance with the background space. So it appears to be going backwards, and that's what's called retrograde. Now Saturn happens to be retrograde from the 1st of July until I tell you that it makes a change. And when Saturn is retrograde, it impacts negatively not upon the house that it's sitting in, but upon the houses that it rules. And in your case, Sagittarius, Saturn rules the 2nd and the 3rd house of your horoscope. It's different for the other signs, but in your case, you've got frustrations and hurdles and obstacles and obstructions connected with finances. So frustrations financially, your sense of security is being taken away from you, and frustrations in getting from A to B, motor vehicles breaking down, all sorts of things like that. Frustrations focusing through communications with relatives and neighbours and those that are close to you. And you'll have obstructions and delays in getting from A to B, so you run late for appointments and all sorts of things like that. Now then on the 4th of August, Sagittarius, Saturn starts going direct, and that's when it starts to impact directly upon the house that it's actually sitting in. And in your case, it's sitting in the 12th house of your horoscope, and it remains there from the 4th of August right the way through until the end of August. Now when Saturn is in the 12th house of your horoscope during this particular period, it's bringing frustrations and difficulties and obstructions and hurdles to do with parents, matters relating to your career and business. There's secret worries and insecurities there connected with career and ambitions and your business side of things. There can be the hospitalisation of a parent when if they play a prominent part in your life, when Saturn is impacting the 12th house of your horoscope, but you'll have difficulties making changes within yourself too. You just don't seem to have the time or the right space to be able to do a lot of thinking and deep reflection upon things within yourself. So you can in some ways be your own worst enemy there. Now I'm going to look at the movements of the Sun and Venus and Jupiter as they transit through the houses of your horoscope, Sagittarius. They bring a focus of a different nature. The Sun starts off on the 1st of July in the 8th house of your horoscope and remains there until I tell you that it changes. With the Sun in the 8th house of your horoscope, there's a lot of deep thinking and reflection, a desire to transform yourself and to make changes inside of yourself. And Venus starts off in the 9th house of your horoscope on the 1st of July and remains there until I tell you that it makes a change. With Venus in the 9th house of your horoscope, it's a good time for travel overseas. It's a good time socially through in-laws and with people that you've had an association through adult education. And there's very good stars there for you generally to do with people from overseas. So there might be someone visit you from overseas. You'll meet people socially who were born overseas. So there's a great deal of joy there in your life through that type of activity. And the first change that we have, Sagittarius, is on the 19th of July when Venus moves into the 10th house of your horoscope for 2 or 3 weeks. That's a very good time for you connected with business, career, ambitions, social activities connected with parents if they play a prominent part in your life, happiness through the career. It's a good time for seeking advancement in your career, promotions, expansion in business. So it's a very good time for dealings also with government departments when Venus is in the 10th house. And then the next change that we have is on the 24th of July, Sagittarius, when the Sun moves into the 9th house of your horoscope as well. When the Sun is in the 9th house of your horoscope, it focuses your consciousness of your personality upon growth and expansion. So it can be a time over the next 30 days of travel, a lot of social activities with people from overseas, and a lot of social activities focusing through in-laws if they play a prominent part in your life. Now then, the next move that we have is on the 27th of July when Venus starts going retrograde. Now when Venus is retrograde, it doesn't impact negatively upon the houses that Venus rules, but it tends to have you overdoing it to do with those particular houses, okay? Now those 2 houses that impacts from Venus retrograde is the 6th house and the 11th house. So therefore you can be overdoing it to do with rich food. You can be overdoing it with social activities connected with people that you work with. And you can be overdoing it with group activities through friends, through the 11th house. There's a lot of friends are going to be wanting to take you out all the time, and you'll be out late and overdoing it on the social side of your life there through club activities, group social functions and things like that, Sagittarius. So you just got to watch out for that. But you'll have a lot of happiness and a lot of joy through friends, a lot of affection there and a lot of love through friends, and new friendships and acquaintances can be struck up when Venus is impacting on the 11th house, okay? Now the last one of these, Sagittarius, is on the 23rd of August when the Sun moves into the 10th house of your horoscope and remains there for 30 days. With the Sun in the 10th house of your horoscope, there's a focus of your personality upon getting ahead. Promotions, advancement, expansion in business, interviews for promotion in your job and your career, and it's a lot of social activities revolving around those areas, and also to do with parents if they play a prominent part in your life. Now Jupiter is a major beneficial influence in your horoscope, Sagittarius, because first of all, Jupiter is your ruler. So with Jupiter starting off on the 1st of July as in the 9th house of your horoscope and remains there until I tell you that it makes a change, that's a good time for travel. It's a favourable time for you for expansion of your consciousness to do with adult education, philosophy, spiritual growth and development. You'll have incredible dream experiences during that time. And then it moves into the 10th house of your horoscope on the 12th of August. Now that only happens once every year when Jupiter changes into a different house. So this is a momentous 2-month period for you. And with Jupiter in the 10th house of your horoscope, Sagittarius, there's an expansion and growth connected with business and career. It's a good time to seek advancement in your career. There can be travel involving parents, with them visiting you or you visiting them, or you're both travelling together overseas. It's a very good time for you in dealings with government departments, seeking advancement and expansion in business and career, and a very favourable time for you generally to do with your ambitions in life, Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius, science tells us that astrology is a load of hogwash and that the planets can have no impact whatsoever upon life here on Earth. Well, I've proven that wrong in 30,000 cases with 30,000 horoscopes that I've done for people, and the feedback that I get is in some of the testimonials there in my website. You can prove it to yourself, though. No doubt whatsoever that astrology is truth. And what this does for you is when you've proven to yourself that astrology is truth, it means that there's design in the universe, that the planets are not just blobs of matter, but they are conscious beings who've been through the human level before us. And they are conscious, self-conscious beings. And they have purpose and objective and function and design in our lives here on Earth, okay? So if you can prove this to yourself, that there's design in the universe, then that is a big step forward in your spiritual growth and expansion, because you want to know what that designer's plans are for you and how you can cooperate with those plans. So you can have your horoscope done by a professional astrologer and you'll know straight away, yes, astrology is valid. And I offer 3 horoscopes for you. First one is horoscope number 1. That is thrown in free of charge when you order horoscope number 2. So I'll tell you first of all about what I cover in horoscope number 1. I tell you all about yourself, a lot of things there about yourself and about qualities, principles and values that you've developed within yourself from past lives. And I then go into the progress moon cycles. Now, these are not just progress moon cycles through the houses of your horoscope as a generality for every one of your sign. This is an individual thing from your horoscope individually, okay? So it's your progress moon cycles, which are different from all the other people. And I tell you when you're going to have areas of interest and focus and so forth from those progress moon cycles. It's a written report and it's about 10 pages. So I tell you when you're going to have this happen and that happen all over the next 30 months, as well as an analysis of some of the factors of your personality and qualities and principles and values that you have within yourself. So that's horoscope number 1, which is thrown in free of charge when you order horoscope number 2. Horoscope number 2 is 20 pages, and that looks at your past lives and tells you what qualities, principles and values that you've developed within yourself, Sagittarius, from past lives, and what principles and values that you're working on in this particular lifetime. So it's a very in-depth analysis of your past achievements and what hurdles and obstacles and obstructions that you've set up for yourself in this particular lifetime, and you can save yourself from making bad choices and decisions in your life by having horoscope number 1 and 2 done by me, okay? For the sake of only $10, you get a beautiful 20-page printout there with this horoscope number 2 that is just a treasure for life. It's 20 pages all about you and you individually, okay? Now then, the Rolls Royce is horoscope number 3, which is bringing to bear all of my 40 years of experience as a professional astrologer to bear upon your life from your horoscope individually, okay? Recording with my voice. And I'm able to tell you things about yourself, Sagittarius, that only you know about yourself. And I'll be able to tell you when you've had changes in your residence, changes in your job, journeys overseas, bouts of sickness, deaths in the family, accidents, even where you've got scars on your body. And when I tell you things like that, Sagittarius, that has a big impact upon you. And that says, yes, you want to know more about this designer and you want to know more about how you can fit in with that higher aspect of yourself to become more of who you really are, okay? So that's what's available there. It's 25 minutes of information on that recorded message, and I go into the future for you for the next 2 or 3 years and tell you all about the events and conditions that you've got coming up in all areas of your life over the next 3 years, when you're going to have changes in residence, journeys overseas and things like that. And you can make decisions and choices based on this that is going to save you from having to jump those hurdles. So that's the idea, is to have your personal horoscope done by me if you can afford it, okay? If you can't, we'll go for horoscope number 2. Listen to my videos, because there's 160 YouTube videos there on all aspects of personal and spiritual growth. Subscribe to my website, subscribe to my videos, because I'm pumping out new videos all the time. There's 12 CDs there that are available out of my first book, What Really Matters, a book about astrology, meditation and reincarnation, that you can download from the free CD page of my website. Download them and listen to them. That's all structured understanding to expand your consciousness about astrology, meditation and reincarnation. And then when you have your horoscope number 3 done by me, you're also then entitled to go on to intensives 2 and 3 out of my deeper book, Coming Home: An Eternal Journey, where I cover quantum physics, the holographic nature of reality, and take you into spiritual university to help you to become more Sagittarius of the giant that you truly are. So if you want a tentative step, just do the horoscope number 2, and then you'll see that I know what I'm talking about with what I tell you in horoscope number 1 and 2. And then go for horoscope number 3 and get stuck into becoming more of the giant that you truly are. So it's nice to have this opportunity, Sagittarius, to be of service to you. I look forward to working further with you should you decide to take up the task and run with it. But you are primarily a spiritual being, make no mistake about that, and you have eternal life, and God and Goddess love you, and they know your name. So I look forward to working further with you and wish you well in life in the future. Thank you.